A year ago, we launched a series here on News Nation focusing on missing person cases that were not getting national attention. We are continuing that series every Thursday here on News Nation Live. And this morning, we are revisiting a case that still remains a mystery nearly 16 months later. It is the story of a young geologist named Daniel Robinson, who vanished in the Arizona desert. And in a moment, Daniel's dad, David, will be joining me live. But first, a look at Daniel's disappearance. Tonight, we start our series, Missing in America, taking you to where the people were last seen, meeting these families and bringing you their stories. And we begin tonight with Daniel Robinson.
This is the area in Buckeye where his vehicle was found. This is remote. The terrain is extremely treacherous.
Daniel Robinson was 24 when he disappeared, a geologist working his dream job in the Arizona desert. A coworker says Robinson left his job site on the morning of June 23, 2021. His Jeep, found a month later, crashed in a desert ravine. Robinson's keys, cell phone, and wallet were still inside, his clothing in a pile just outside the vehicle. But no sign of Daniel.
I do my job and find my son. He's my son, I'm his father, and it's my job.
For nearly 16 months, David Robinson hasn't given up on that job, searching the desert and bringing in his own private investigator. They took News Nation's Nancy Liu to the crash site. The investigator says too much doesn't add up, including red paint transfer on the side of the Jeep.
The vehicle was tipped over on the passenger side, so there's no red paint in this area. So how that got there, that's why I'm saying that vehicle did not crash here. That vehicle was, its last place of rest was here, but something was going on with that vehicle.
He notes other inconsistencies in the crash report.
The vehicle had 11 additional miles on it from the time the airbags deployed. It had 46 additional ignition cycles on it after the airbags deployed.
But Buckeye police say there's no evidence of foul play and have resisted a deeper investigation. The private investigator is also no longer on the case, but Robinson has finally convinced an outside law enforcement agency to go through Daniel's computer and cell phones for any clues.
They saw some of the things that I was seeing, and they wanted to look into it themselves.
While he waits for any information, he holds vigils.
As you guys know, I've been here over a year searching for Daniel.
And has organized dozens of searches.
Still don't have the answers that we're looking for. But we thank you for coming out here. It really means a lot to us.
Covering more than 23,000 acres, using four-wheelers and on foot. On at least 2 separate occasions, volunteers found human remains, which turned out not to be Daniel's.
Even though we didn't find Daniel, but it gave you some relief a little. That, we was able to bring some other families some type of closure.
He raises money on GoFundMe and takes every opportunity to speak about his son's disappearance.
I'm just here to bring awareness to my son's case.
Even appearing at CrimeCon in Las Vegas. Robinson has created a robust social media presence, a sophisticated website documenting coverage of the case, and weekly live online updates. All to keep his and other cases in the spotlight.
I'm blessed that I have a small platform, especially on YouTube presence, as well as TikTok and Twitter. In that doing so, I'm able to also help other families. I had other families on my Q&A to be able to tell their stories as well.
This Army veteran with a new mission in life, one he says he'll never give up.
And no matter what, we will not leave a soldier behind. My son, he's my son, and I'm definitely not leaving him behind. That's thank you.
Local police investigating continue to say they have no evidence of foul play in Daniel's disappearance. Joining me now is Daniel's dad, David Robinson. David, you and I have spoken a number of times over the last year since Daniel's disappearance. By watching this story again, finding him must be all-consuming. You changed your life, moved across the country to search.
Yes, thank you for having me on. Yes, it's been very trying for me and my family, Daniel's siblings, his mother. It's been very trying being out here trying to get the answers that we're looking for. You can imagine after a year now still searching for Daniel and not having all the answers that we're looking for is very troubling in our mental state. It's really, really hard. struggling and working with law enforcement on the outside of Buckeye, trying to get more law enforcement more involved to a point where there's an urgency there. I'm still looking for that urgency after a year. A lot of urgency that will definitely give me more answers, but I'm still on the job. I'm still on the job, putting on my investigative hat, as well as being a father, but also being able to help others as I'm taking this journey.
David, I said a moment ago, Buckeye Police, they have a timeline on their website. They say they're still actively investigating, but there's no evidence of foul play. After all of your investigative work and being so close to this case, do you believe that?
Well, according to my investigator, I did hire a private investigator, and all the information that we gave them from tangible evidence of the red transfer paint, for instance, 11 additional miles, pressure on the windshield, the fact that we don't even know it's Daniel's clothing that's on the ground, haven't been forensically tested. Those type things will, in my opinion, based on my family knowledge of my son. I've been there from the time he was born. We have a great indication about the way Daniel thinks. So you put all that things in combination, that will suggest foul play. Against what the Buckeye Police Department feel, I feel there's more to the story.
And you questioned, David, the timeline as well. What stands out to you that may be inaccurate about the timeline?
Well, one of the biggest things is the person that's last seen a person should be, that story should be vetted very well. And we later found out in my investigation, his story just didn't match the timeline. He said my son left, for instance, the well site at 9:15, but yet my son made a phone call, his final phone call to him at 9:28. Those calls and the desire my son sent a text message to ask for the location came unanswered. So again, like I said, my son called at 9:28. I'm assuming to ask for direction. So the timeline is not right. When the timeline is not right, you really have to scrutinize that story a little more.
David, this is a tough question to ask, and I'm sorry for asking it, but do you feel as though Daniel is still alive?
I have to. That's the only one that's one of the things that keep me going. Is also crucial for my family, his mother. We're people of faith. We believe in God. We believe in miracles. Though sometimes I look at everything that I have evidence-wise that would suggest other things, I still keep that hope and that faith because we don't have those answers of where Daniel is located. So I always have to keep that faith that somehow I'm going to bring my son home alive. And I really want to believe that. And I'm going to continue to believe that.
I appreciate that. And David, as we look at pictures of Daniel on the screen, there's one video that I just love where he's standing outside and snow is falling on his face. He's got this great big smile. I want you to share with people at home your son, his personality, who he is, and what you miss most about him.
Yeah, Daniel's very free-spirited. You probably can tell by the pictures. He's loved by a lot of his friends. He's a very friendly person. He loves nature. That's the reason why he's a geologist. That's why he came out to Arizona. He wants to be able to be in tune with nature. Also, he's a very family-oriented person. He definitely keeps the family together. Like I said, he shows a lot of love to his family. We love him back. One thing I miss the most for me, on my perspective, is having a conversation with my son. My son always come to me. He come to his mother. He calls all the time. We keep in contact with each other. But for me, just having that 2-hour conversation that we normally have, where he's asking questions, he's wanting to know things, he get advice, his entrepreneur spirit, what he want to do in life. He always plan things and always look on the positive light. I miss those things about my son.
And do you think about what you would say to him now if he could hear you?
Yes, of course. I've been here over a year searching for you. I'm not giving up. He's my son. I love him dearly. I'm here to fight. That's what fathers do. He know I have his back, and I'm here for him. No matter what, I'm definitely here and want to make sure I bring him back. And I'm not going to let anyone stop me. I want him to know that.
Amen. David, you have become such a powerful voice for so many other families that you have come in contact with who are also trying to find their loved ones. What has that support and getting to know these families meant for you and giving you hope in your case as well?
Yes. One thing, there's always something light at the end of the tunnel. It's definitely been a long experience. But in that experience, when you're a person that just have a missing loved one in your family, you're unaware of what other people are going through as well. I found out this is not unique to my family. There's other struggling families that don't even have a voice, So be able to talk to people all the time and hear their stories, it caused me to be passionate. I couldn't be human without answering those calls. I just want to make sure that I'm helping the other families as much as I can through my journey. doing everything I can. That's the reason why I have the Daniel Robinson Foundation, as well as other events and things I do to try to make sure I can get other people's story out there. I'm very passionate about that. Want to help everybody I can. It's my duty and my journey as well to be able to do that.
Well, you're a great dad and you've got a big heart, and I know you've got a big support system behind you as well. And the most important thing is keeping Daniel's story in the headlines. We're glad to partner with you as you do that, David Robinson. Thank you for giving us some time.
I appreciate you. Thanks so much.
My best to you. And if you have any information on the location of Daniel, if you have any information in this case, the Buckeye Police Department are still actively investigating. You can also go online to Please Help Live. And if you have a case,
government officials insist that this
that BNC Live has been following from the beginning. A father continues his mission to find out what happened to his son.
Daniel Robinson vanished in the Buckeye Desert.
Daniel Robinson went missing in the Buckeye Desert.
Urgent plea from a father who has scoured the vast Arizona desert himself.
4-year-old Daniel Robinson, and this is a very, very odd mystery.
Daniel Robinson disappeared on June 23rd in the far West Valley.
His parents, David and Melissa, need our help.
I'm David Robinson, the father of geologist Daniel Cornelius Robinson.
His name, Daniel Robinson. And leading the search, not law enforcement, but Daniel's father, David.
God knows how much we can bear, you know, and at times I feel like I can't really take but so much more.
Where is Daniel Robinson?
And identify they were human leg bones.
But you know what? It's still urgent to me as a father because, you know, we found human remains out here.
David Robinson had only one thought on his mind as he drove the nearly 1,800 miles from his South Carolina home to Phoenix.
I had to find my son. I also want to thank the volunteers that come out here every weekend, volunteering their time. And, you know, without these special people behind me, I wouldn't have a search.
How does a young man vanish off the face of the earth? How does that happen? No record, no sightings, nothing. He's just gone. And when I say a young man, I'm talking about 25-year-old Daniel Robinson. He is the apple of his parents' eye. A young geologist, music lover, good-looking, great grades, the works. So why can't we find Daniel? I'm Nancy Grace. This is Crime Stories. And his dad, David Robinson, is using the GoFundMe money to fund his own investigation and the desperate search for his boy, his son, Daniel Robinson, 25 years old. What happened to him? How did he just disappear? David Robinson, sir, thank you so much for being with us. Tell me, when you first realized your son just hadn't called in a couple of days, that he was truly missing.
Yes, my son, on the 23rd, I did get a call from my daughter. She also lives out in Phoenix. And at times I feel like I can't really take but so much more.
But in his weakest times, David says it's the volunteers that provide him strength.
You know, everybody know that I call them my extended family. And so this video is the same thing. We all here have one common goal, and that's to find Daniel and also to bring light what happened to other families.
As the Robinsons' extended family light candles tonight, their collective light shines towards that day when their question is answered and Daniel comes home. Josh Sanders, 12 News.
You are my shelter from the storm. You keep me safe inside your wings. You are my comfort when life gets hard. You lead me to water to drink. And now I trust your gentle hand, even when I can't understand. I know your voice, I'm not afraid, walking with me at the same pace.
When the lights and camera turn off, I will be here. When the interest and conversation fade, I will be here. When there's no one around, a father will do anything it takes to be there for his son, to protect his family.
Daniel Robinson went missing 4 months ago. This is the last photo his family has of him. He's a 24-year-old geologist, last seen leaving his job site in Buckeye, Arizona.
As the Gabby Petito homicide case garners national attention, another young person has been missing for nearly 3 months, and his family is desperate to find him. 24-year-old Daniel Robinson, a geologist, was last seen on the morning of June 23rd, leaving his work site in the desert of Buckeye, Arizona.
David Robinson had only one thought on his mind as he drove the nearly 1,800 miles from his South Carolina home to Phoenix.
I had to find my son. And I'm currently searching for him. Thank you guys for coming in this morning's Q&A. This is David Robinson. I'm the father of geologist Daniel Cornelius Robinson. My son Daniel, a graduate of the College of Charleston in Charleston, South Carolina. He's graduated with honors in the field of geology. My son decided to leave South Carolina to expand his career, his horizons, to go out into Arizona, Phoenix, Arizona, to start his career and start his life. Arriving in Arizona, he landed his first job in life with a company called Matrix New World. It's also called Matrix Southwest Groundwater. My son, he got hired on as a field geologist. It's an engineering company. Hired him on as a field geologist, and what he does is go out to various well sites. Get assignments to go to different well sites all across Arizona. His job is to check the viability of those wells, and also to make sure those wells are producing at least 100 years of water. That's something that's required by law in the state of Arizona, and his job is very important to that state. His job, along with that company as well. But my son on June 23rd was doing his job. He was going out to 2 assignments that he was given. One off of Verrado Way, that's right off of I-10, coming out west of Phoenix, and also west of Phoenix, a little farther out off of Sun Valley Parkway. And that's also, both of those locations are in a city called Buckeye, Arizona. My son, according to his company, did complete his task at the first well site. According to his company as well, he's supposedly be assigned to the second well site. The story behind that is different in different categories, depending on how you look at it, but the facts are different from what was told initially to me and my family. It was told that me and my family that my son went out to the second well site where he disappeared, and the manner is the way he went missing was based on a story that come from a guy named Ken who works for a company called Weber. He was already at the well site, so waiting on my son to arrive. According to this guy's testimony, his statement, Daniel met him off of Sun Valley Parkway at near the Cactus Road Junction at a gate. They had a brief conversation at that gate. My son followed him into that desert. They went 1 mile west and 2 miles north to get to this well site. According to that worker, Ken, he said that my son was talking to him for roughly, they got there at 9 o'clock at the well, and they talked for roughly 10 or so minutes. My son left at 9:15 and to disappear. Almost 30 days later, his vehicle showed up in this ravine right here behind me, you guys. You see the vehicle on the side. That's about 3 miles away, a little more or less 3 miles away from the well site. It was found in this ravine. It's a 20-foot ravine. The picture looked deceiving, but it's 20-foot ravine, and it was tilted on the side. But that was almost 30 days after my son supposedly drove off from that well site. The vehicle showed up there. You guys can see allegedly the clothing that's on the ground 3 feet away in a pile, and the safety vest another foot away. You know, they also got the boots out there. You can't see it in this picture, but allegedly they're supposed to be my son's clothing. We don't have any forensic testing on that to prove that point. It's something that my family I don't identify, but nevertheless, the police department feel that it's Daniel's clothing that is outside the vehicle. You guys. Also, you guys notice the story surrounding the vehicle once it's been found. Those things that I've been talking about here on the Q&A is also in the public knowledge. You guys, you have questions about that, of course, that's what I'm here for, to talk about those. But his personal effects was found in that vehicle. It's sitting inside. Of course, there was, according to my investigator, his research on this vehicle, his investigation on this vehicle, there was 11 additional miles after the first crash. There was 46 initial cycles after the vehicles crashed, someone trying to crank the car to get it going. And also, you guys, I have been out here since June 26th last year. Also to search for my son. Of course, I was the person that put in the missing person report. And the reason why I did that, you guys, I had to do due diligence. My daughter, she called me, said one of the coworkers came to her house, her apartment that evening on the 23rd, and inquiring about Daniel, one of Daniel's friends from the job. It wasn't the job itself. It was one of his friends came over from the job. Matrix came to see if he was there. Of course, he was not. That startled her because she didn't know the guy knew where she lived at first. But she did realize that when he explained to her that Daniel brought him there one time before, is the way he knew where she lived. Of course, she was puzzled by that. She called me about it. I was in Columbia, South Carolina at the time, and I did receive that call that evening, and she was telling me it's 3-hour difference at the time, a 3-hour difference from Arizona to South Carolina. So when she told me what was going on, of course, as a parent, I had to make sure my job is to make sure she's calm and she's okay. So I had to make sure we do our due diligence. And one of the things was for her to go over to his apartment, take someone with her, go to his apartment and see if she sees his vehicle there. At the same time, we were making phone calls. Of course, Daniel was answering his phone. Then also at that point, once I realized that his vehicle wasn't there, daughter she couldn't access his apartment to check on him. The first thing I was thinking, because his lights was on in the apartment, is to make sure there was no foul play going on. Somebody stole his vehicle or something happening. He's not answering the phone, so he's in that house. So the first thing I did, you guys, was to call the Tempe Police Department and to ask for them to do a welfare check. Can you go in and check to see if my son is there? We told them the circumstances where the job coworker was looking for Daniel that day, as well as all the information going on. And just taking the information until I mentioned the word White Tank Mountains, because the question was where was he last seen, that type deal. I say, I heard that he's supposed to be at work, and it's about some White Tank Mountains or something or other. Of course, the Tempe Police Department referred me and deflected to Buckeye, Arizona. Of course, I had to put in, instead of going to do the welfare check, they sent me to the Buckeye Police Department, gave me the phone number. I called them, tell them what was going on. And then I had to go through the Buckeye Police Department to get the Tempe Police Department to do that welfare check. Welfare check assisted of going out to the apartment complex. According to information I had known now, the officers got out of their vehicle because of the way the apartment is situated. You had to get out of it. As to go close to the apartments itself, you had to literally get out the car and walk into the complex. So they walked out, and what I was told that the officer just literally just walked to the door and see if it was it looked like the door was breached, and they kind of peeked through one of the windows in the patio, and that was the extent of the welfare check. Of course, it's not satisfactory because you guys you have rooms. Says room, you can't see every room from a window that's got a little crack into the in the curtains, since the blinds. So that's the extent of the welfare check. Of course, I'm in South Carolina. I didn't know that information at the time. I just heard that they was going out to look, so I was pretty satisfied at that moment. Of course, after saying the time, knowing my son, and we were doing our due diligence. I tried to put in the missing person report then, right when the officer was telling me all of this stuff. Of course, they told me I had to wait additional hours because I was late. I was too early. You had to have at least the person had been missing for 12 hours, and I was short. I was short of those hours. Okay, so I had to wait for around, of course, where I think it was like 2 or 3 hours short. So I had to do a pacing around the floor because it was really long to me. But I was able to initially put in that missing person report finally. And once I did that, the first person I spoke with was Officer Cruz, who took the initial take. Of course, he was doing some things which I was really happy about. At the time, I didn't really, like I say, I don't know the state. I didn't know anything about Sun Valley Parkway. I just heard the Sun Valley Parkway for the first time. Speaking with him, he said he was going to go up and down Sun Valley Parkway, the area where Daniel went missing, to see if maybe his vehicle stuck on the Sun Valley Parkway. And his vehicle stuck on the side of the road. And I was really pleased with himself going that night to go up and down that road. Until I realized that Daniel went missing inside the desert, off the road. That's when I requested a flight that night to get somebody to go out there and explain the circumstances with the officer. Hey, look, my son is not from there. His first time going there without here from the job. Never been out in that area before. And they need to go out and get him. Of course, the officer told me they couldn't do it that night because it's night. But, of course, now living in Arizona, I see them do night flights all the time to rescue people off of these mountains that from hikers and things like that. But that was the excuse that he used at the time. They couldn't get a flight in the air, but they would do it in the morning. That's one of the deals that was given to me. But in the meantime, the officer was going and getting the information that he could. He gathered all the information. He talked to Ken Elliott, the guy that last seen my son, as well as some coworkers from Matrix New World, to find out what's really going on. As he was getting those information, he was referring those things back to me. I was constantly on the phone. I've told you guys, I'm not the kind of person that was just listen to an officer and don't be engaged. I was engaged into every detail at the time with the officer. Every hour, I'm calling, every moment he's calling back, and we're going to have a lot of interchanges with each other to find out what was going on, to get the story straight, basically. And one of those things, like I said, he did talk to the Ken guy, and that's when I first heard, before the report, you guys, for the first time I ever heard the story, and it was exactly when the person's fresh in the mind, the same as that day to what happened. That's when I got the story, of course, from the Ken guys that said that my son was there at 9 o'clock and left 9:15, and he was gone, right? And same story, you guys, exactly how he said it, the same way he's put it to the officer, until I came to Arizona and I asked him myself face to face. That's when he changed those stories and started adding little details that you don't see, that's not reflective in the report. I did give that to the officers. They ignored those points. Of course, they have the report written the way this guy said it to them, not the way that I reported. But at the same time, they put some hearsay from other people into their report. All right, but anyway, I'm here this morning to do a Q&A, and also, you guys, I put a poll up here, and I'm looking at the poll a little later. That's those who's on the YouTube side. If you're not on YouTube, you may not see that poll, but I did have a poll. I just wanted to kind of get an idea people who may and may not be able to come out to the search that I would have. I'm going to put this on the screen as well. The search that I have in February, I have a search for a public search coming up, as well as a protest that's coming up in February. So I'm just trying to make sure you guys just kind of get an idea of people who may and may not be able to come to be a part of those events. But that's very important. You guys already know that it's already is important. I have, and the search itself is very important. You know, I've had to pause my searches and, you know, slow them down tremendously. And that's because of funding at the time. I had to make some hard choices of keeping one of the biggest things that is important as well is word of mouth and getting information out. Information is clearly very important to anything. I was in the military. We could not function without. We have different branches of defense. We have, you know, of course, Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, and you know, we all out on the ground. It's a lot of times. You know, of course, Air Force and Navy somewhat, but we all on the ground. And the only way we communicate with each other without having friendly fire, we have to have communication and to make sure we know each other at all times and things like that. So keep from having friendly fire, even with units. We was out on the ground. We don't want our other units and us thinking it's an enemy element, and we're attacking ourselves. So communication is very key to anything. Communication is very key to finding my son, and I'm communicating. You see the tip line on the bottom of the screen for those who may know and heard something and want to say something, want to clear their conscience is right there. I pay for that tip line 24 hours, 7 days a week. Live operators will take their call. The person can stay anonymous. They don't even have to talk to anybody. You can text the word tip, as you see on the bottom of the screen. All of that is important. So I had to kind of slow those searches down, and I also put them on pause to be able to keep those things like that going and other elements of my investigation into Daniel. And also at the time, we're trying to also collect for forensics. But the thing is, you guys, I have the search, public search, and that public search is very important. There's some areas that needed to be completed. You know, of course, it's really hard to, when I went out there the other Saturday, not Saturday past, but before, and I did some work out there with some forensic scientists, also some drone operators, and my team. And we were out there, and that desert was changed. You know what I'm saying? Of course, they put that community in that had been promising. So they tore up a lot. There's a lot of terrain being torn up, and they got the big tractors out there to be, you know, flatten it out, the irrigation systems and all kind of stuff going on out there right now. So I thank God that I was able to search those areas before they tore it up like that. Searched those 3 times. Been there 3 times. They told me they was going to do it in January, so I was pushing it really hard, you guys, to get those areas searched. So it took a lot of time. But there's also areas that haven't been searched, and they're still on the set the map. And you go to pleasehelpfinddaniel.com, you see set the map, see the areas that have been missing. But there's some areas that we had a hard time with because of logistics, trying to make sure we get people, be able to get people in those areas. So what I'll be doing so far is going to recon in those areas to find out ways that I can get there. But because of the construction, I also had to get permissions. I went through some work behind the scenes, and now I was able to get those permissions to go through those areas in February and to get the search going. So I'm pushing the search forward, you guys. I hope you guys can join in on with me and try to help me, because I need the foot on the ground. What I'm looking for is people to come out to help me do line searches. Line searches is what we did when we found the human remains. You guys already know that in my searches, there was human remains found. Despite what Buckeye said or anybody else said, we had at least about a 6 or 7 remain count back then. They kind of dumbed it down over to 2 count, believe it or not. I smile with that because I'm really ashamed the way the Buckeye Police Department and the Buckeye community itself, when I say community, the city mayor, the mayor, everybody in that whole thing would try to downplay the crime that goes on in Buckeye, Arizona. Of course, that police department chief got suspended because they falsified documents concerning crime statistics. Of course, they would sit there and dumb down 7 remains, for instance, that were found in the desert, and including a human skull that we found. Try to dumb it down to 1 or 2 to try to make Buckeye look safe, because this big multi-million-dollar community is being built there, and that's the place that they don't want people to say, oh, yes, a lot of crime happened in Buckeye, which it does. So, but of course, that's what they'll do. But the thing is, you guys, the search had been producing those, and the way we was doing that is by doing those line searches. Those line searches are very important. I really need people on the ground. I already have some people engaged. I have some people at ASU, Arizona State University, that will be coming to University of New Hampshire, as well as I have some the forensics. Those are forensics departments, and also I have some troops from Luke Air Force Base geared to come as well. Also have I'm really be putting out. You guys are gonna start seeing us a lot. I'm putting out a real big public invite to the police departments, whether it's Tempe, whether it's Phoenix, Goodyear. Some of these other, all of them are going to be invited to this search to help out, to bring resources that's needed out there. The cadaver dolls, the you name it, whatever they bring, law enforcement. I will have them out there as well. And there's also, just different elements, the other groups and stuff like that. Hopefully have some drone groups again, which I do have some of those lined up. And, this whole works. So if you guys can come out on February to help out, I definitely need you out there. I really, really need you out there, and I need your support. So please, by all means, if you make that scheduling now, and that date will be, I'm going to put it right here on the screen, you guys. That date will be on the 25th of the search will be on the 25th of February, you guys. And if you guys can, please, I need all hands on deck, just like I say here. Please plan to be a part of this great and important thing. It will help me out because, it give me some sense of, I can't be 100% sure because there are some areas that not really into the search pattern. But, it gives me some sense that maybe Daniel's not out there, right? So, and it give me some hope, so a little bit more hope to make sure I cover areas that's obvious that need to be searched. And so I just want to make sure I clear that area and have the manpower and the people there to do so. Also, I have to, like I said, the whole month of January will be recon. I have permission for that as well, to make sure I have the routes and the ways that get you guys out into those areas where I need to have those, like I said, line searches done. So please be looking out for that on pleasehelpfinddan.com. I'll be putting some more information on about the search as the time getting closer. And, more information I get, I'm going to constantly be checking with the project that's going on out there in the desert to make sure that, everything's a go. And I still don't say, you guys, also in the month of February, also before the search, I want to make sure that you guys are aware that also the week before that, the weekend before, I would like to have that protest. So if you guys can do one or the other or both, it'd be greatly appreciated. You guys show up, because I will be doing the protest as well. We'll be doing that in front of at the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office, because what I'm looking for, you guys, is, the whole big totality of this whole thing with my son. I'm not law enforcement. I don't have the skills or know how things entails. I'm a family member, and I'm a victim. According to Arizona law, I'm a victim as well. Meaning that the family, we are victims as well. And one of the things is, you come out, I don't know what to do or who to go to and things like that. So law enforcement knows these things. That's a state. Arizona is a state that have missing persons all the time. It's one of those biggest numbers of missing persons in this country. They're one of the top, right? And so of missing person cases. So the thing is, they know what they're doing when it comes to missing persons cases. They're pushing things over. Law enforcement have a tendency of passing the buck on to somebody else when they don't want to do something. So Maricopa County, I don't know any better. First person Tempe told me to go to Buckeye, right? Because they didn't want to do it. Send it to Buckeye, and of course, Buckeye made a mock of it. But it also could have just simply said, go to Maricopa County. My son is missing in Maricopa County. He did go missing in Maricopa Sheriff's Zone, and the rest of them knew about my son. It's impossible, you guys. Think about this. It's impossible for me to do over 45 weeks of searches, over 35,000 acres of land, searching out there, finding human remains, and being on national news platforms, and to whatever, local, without Sheriff's Zone and anybody else knowing what was going on in the state, right? When it comes to Daniel being missing, it's impossible. Instead of them stepping in, I didn't know anything about no Sheriff's Zone. instead of them step in up front and to say, hey, look, you guys, we need to make sure this young man be found, right? And put all the resources they can and take the case, especially when they see that Buckeye was really monking it up. I'll just put it that way, you guys. The first time Buckeye turned this vehicle, this vehicle was found here on July the 19th, right, by a rancher. That day, of course, you guys, I told you, the rancher called the rancher. He says they told him, hey, look, don't tell the family, don't tell. And they know I was on the ground, finding human remains and all of that stuff with the volunteers. Don't tell the family or the public that this vehicle was found, right? But they tell me on the 20th, a little over 24 hours later, they called me and told me about the vehicle found the day before. Now, the sheriff, according to the Buckeye Police Department, the sheriff department was somewhat involved. They say they used Sheriff Bazon's cadaver dogs. That's what Buckeye is saying. They used their DPS helicopter and all this kind of stuff, and all this. That's what they're saying. I mean, it's no evidence of all this stuff, but that's what they're saying. The whole point is there was some involvement with all the law enforcement agencies in that area. When I say involvement, they knew about it. They knew about it. So if you see that the Buckeye Police Department, right after they did that on the 19th, giving that vehicle back over to me, giving me this everything in a meeting a few days after that, in evidence bad Martha say keeper, something is going wrong, and that's when you should step up as a sheriff that he can do. Especially I'm out there and, like I said, pushing really hard, trying to get answers at the time. So I really, really want to go ahead and say that's justice for Daniel need to be done. It's been over a year again. I'm grateful. I want to make sure you guys understand I'm very grateful, but I'm not satisfied. I'm grateful, but I'm not satisfied. I don't have to take anything. You know what I'm saying? I can be grateful, but I'm just not accepting just anything to say, oh, I should be grateful for that, and that's it. I'm grateful that I was able to, after over a year, get some law enforcement agency, Tempe Police Department, to do just the forensic. It's kind of around. There's a bit story behind it as well. That's really not too good for on their sakes. But the good part is that they did take themselves into doing the forensics on the electronics for me after meetings and talks, and was able to convince them to do that as well, because Daniel's a resident of Tempe. But also, saying just the fact that I was able to get some things going forward, information deeper, to find out, understand what happened to my son. I don't have all the answers still, so I'm still waiting on results from the field. I'm waiting on the report from the forensics on this electron as well. That's coming from Tempe as well. I'm waiting on that report. And once I get that report, I can start sharing some of those things with you guys. I can't share those things with you right now, but I want to start off real quick. Again, I want to jump to another point because I'm looking at the time. It's already 46 minutes into this Q&A. This is a day of remembrance. Also I do the day of remembrance, a fast and prayer. A fast and prayer for Daniel. I always be the Wednesday that's closer to almost what some people call the anniversary date that Daniel would miss in every month. I don't like the word anniversary date, but the date that he was missing. And so it's closer to the 23rd. On 23rd, it'll be another month that my son has been missing. So I usually do a fast and prayer. And on that fast and prayer, I like to pray and usher in the fast and prayer. So if you guys today remember that, you can put the hashtag fast and prayer for Daniel on your social media platforms here on the chats. You're in the chats here. Fast and prayer for Daniel, and I would start off the fast and prayer for Daniel today with the prayer. Of course, I'm praying for not just Dave to say fast and prayer for Daniel, but it's for other families as well. Daniel's not the only person that's missing. It's not only happened to me and my family, and I wanted to make sure that I point that out. Daniel is America's son. He's America's son. That meaning that he's a person that represents a lot of people. A lot of people going through the same thing that my family's going through. There's a lot of missing young men, a lot of missing young ladies, and want to make sure that, I pray for each and every last one of them that families going through, like myself. This is the holidays, it's very tough. Of course, we had missed Thanksgiving without Daniel. We have the New Year coming up next month. Next month on the 14th is be his birthday coming up. So it's a lot of things in one big spot. So I just really want to bring Daniel home. I want to bring him home today. So I'm always constant prayer and keep my faith. Things happen the way it need to happen. Some people say, hey, you praying and you still don't have your son. Yes, you're supposed to pray. Men also always pray. And that's one thing that I do believe. Prayer helps. It helps out a lot. Fasting helps. You know what I'm saying? Fasting helps you physically and also mentally. And prayer, it gives us opportunity to make intercessions with others and put our request in to God. It also helps us, focus and get our mind right. So I'm asking for God for those details. I'm asking for him to lead me in like he always been leading me. I've been finding answers. I've been finding answers. I've been presenting those things to several. Sheriff is on as well, law enforcement agency, the information that I do have. And some of the things they say to me, feedback is weird because I say, well, I already knew this information. I already received this information, but sometimes law enforcement seem they behind somehow. But I'm praying for those answers, you guys. So if you can join in with me, Heavenly Father, I thank you, Lord, for this day. Thank you for life, health, and strength. Thank you for bringing us together one more time. Thank you for everybody who's been supporting this YouTube channel. Please help find Daniel, who's been supporting my efforts to find my son, who's been praying with me, been giving me encouragements. I thank you, God, for them this morning, for them joining in on this Q&A. I ask you, Heavenly Father, right now to lead me and guide me to all the right places to bring my son home. I've been trying to do this for over a year now. I need all the guidance and wisdom that I can get. So I'm asking for that. Also asking for other families that's out there as well. Daniel's not the only, we're not the only family that is going through this. So I'm asking you, Heavenly Father, for those families who've been going through this thing for a long time. Some 5 years, some 10, some more, some less. Some will be going through the situation. I ask you help them as well. Lead them to finding their loved one, bring their loved ones back home, give them a sense of closure, some form of closure, give them total closure. Heavenly Father, I'm asking you, Heavenly Father, right now to step in to help all those people who's joining in right now, their hearts and their mind, the desire to help people they don't know, strangers, to show love, constantly showing that there are good people in this world that will stand up for others. And I ask you to Heavenly Father to bless them as well. You know everything they need and their desires, what they have going on in their families. There may be some that's sick. There are some that may be going through some financial difficulties, things that's going on in the family that we just don't know, but they still constantly showing their love to everyone else. I ask you to bless them as well. You know each and last one of them, who they are, and I ask you to bless them as well. Thank you for another Q&A. Thank you for another fast and prayer for Daniel. And I ask you, Heavenly Father, for all these great things. In Jesus' name, pray, amen. So thank you guys for joining in with me on the prayer. Again, like I said, it's not just for Daniel, but it's for many others that are going through the same and similar situations. So I'm putting out a lot of information this morning. I just want to say thank you guys for joining in. Those who can do the fast and prayer for Daniel, I really appreciate that. I do have that poll. I'm gonna look at that poll real quick here. And so far, the poll is for those who's not on the YouTube side. Will you plan to protest and search with me in February, right? In February. And I have 74% that say yes, they're definitely going to be there. I have 11. This on the YouTube side now, not those who may be on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, but the YouTube. And I really thank you because that give me a representation of how you all thinking and what you can do. I have only 11% that say no, they will not be able to make it. Thank you. And also I have 5% that's going to do the search only. And I have 11% that will be doing both. The protest only. But yes, definitely have 74% that will be doing both. So that give me some good feedback because just seeing that I'm gonna be reaching out really hard for the next month in the first part of February, pitching it really hard. You guys go on pleasehelpfinddane.com. Be talking about it here on the Q&As. I'll try to put some videos up. I will be on in Arizona doing all kind of ground movement. So after the holidays, of course, spend time with my family for the holidays, but doing a whole bunch of ground movement, going to churches, reaching out to different communities. I haven't have a lot of Black support out there in the desert, so I just want to make sure I go out to the churches as well. Just the whole community, everybody's community. But I just want to make sure that everybody's on board and on deck because I really need the numbers. This one of the deals that I had with Eldorado Holdings. Eldorado Holdings is the people that almost like the lawyers for that whole project. I talked to the Howard Hughes organization as well. Also talked to just several of them. Just had a big meeting with those guys. And I did get the permissions to be able to get out there in those lands. However, El Dorado Holding is trying to hold me up to one search, you guys. So I got to try to make that one search count. I didn't really commit to that. I told them, hey, look, I can't totally commit to that. But it depends on what we find out there. We have law enforcement, hopefully, riding along with me. That's what I'll be pushing for. If something else shows up out there, you guys out there on the ground, and we find human remains for other families. You never know. We did before. I can't just say, hey, this is gonna be one off. So one off. Not totally. But for right now, I told them just to have the agreement that to get out there on those lands, utilize their land. I was able to say, look, my plan is for one search, that final search to search this area that really need to be searched. But I'm not going to be holding to that totally. So that's the deal that I have with the El Dorado Holding right now. And so hopefully, we had to get them feedback in February after my recon of the area, getting some feedback, and we'll be going forward with the search. So definitely, guys, I really appreciate you guys coming out there. The 75% that's already putting up. But yes, thank you so much for answering that question. Those who cannot be there, I understand. A lot of people live in different states. You have that desire to be there, and it's hard. It's hard, especially with everything going on. It's hard, and your desire is there. You here on this Q&A is good enough. You guys have been doing what you do. Everything that you do counts. You hear supporting. You hear spreading the word about Daniel. You hear just to listen. Whatever case, you're praying for me. You praying for my family. You're doing what you can, but you can't make the search or the protest. That is fine. You guys have been doing so much for me already, and I really appreciate that. And those who gonna just do the search only, and those who doing the protest only, thank you so much as well. Like I said, all of that is important. So thank you again. All right, so I want to go and move on. One thing I want to talk about as well, I was talking about team, and we had a discussion. When you're a family going through a missing loved one or dealing with a missing loved one, you become inadvertently an expert, not really an expert, but you go through things and you can share with other families. That's what I've tried to make sure I do. Of course, I have families here on this Q&A in the past. You guys look for more families on this Q&A. And I'm gonna put this information on the bottom as well. If you want to be a part of this Q&A, that's the information to get in contact with me, put your request in. But I would like to have more families to share their story on this Q&A. I would like this platform to grow. So again, guys, can you hit that like, share, subscribe? But especially if you're new here, just your first Q&A, hit that like, share, subscribe before you leave. That helped the algorithms grow this channel, to get Daniel's story out farther. And hopefully when families come on here, they also can get their stories out. But yeah, I just want to talk about some of the things that happens with families and that we have to go through when you're looking for your loved ones. And one of those things are called scammers. So we have a lot of scammers that's out there, and I was wanting to share this with families who may be listening to me on this Q&A to be on the lookout for. So I'm going to share a screen if I can and talk about these scammers, right? And let me see if I can get this up here real quick. The scammers. And what this is a website from the FBI. They had put a public service announcement up, and this was I think it was in 2021, but it's still relevant to today because this is exactly what happens. Scammers. There's a lot of scammers out there, and what happens is these scammers, they tend to prey on people like myself, people like my who have missing loved ones. And these scammers, and this is what happened to me, guys. This is so all this is true, and I'm gonna tell you about it as I'm going down. But scammers targeted families who post missing persons on social media, right? And that was one of the first things I did. Of course, working with the Buckeye Police Department at the time when I first got to Arizona. The first thing I did was went to social media. I set up policehelpfinddaniel.com immediately so I can give you guys something to look at as I'm talking about my son being missing. So you was able to people you got to put that information out, put the website up. I do tell families that too. Please, by all means, get the website, the family website. That's one of the first things you do for the social media platform, and then you go ahead and start um, creating a page, creating a social media presence on each one of your platforms. You got your own personal platform. You can do that as well. You can just use your platform to start putting information out. But nevertheless, try to make sure you get information out as fast as you can on social media. And by doing so, like the FBI put the number here, FBI alert number here in the section here. But the FBI warns the public of scammers seeking to extort family members of missing persons. These actors identify missing persons through social media posts and gather information about missing persons and family to legitimize their ransom demands without ever physically contact with the missing person, right? And before I go further reading this, I can tell you the story real quick. And real quick, I'm gonna go back to it. But the story behind that as well for me is that I was out, as you guys know, I was out there putting Dane's story every night. That's all I did. After I did stuff for the day and late at night, especially, I'm always on social media presence trying to get the information out to the public. And I remember going out to Sam's Club to get some food and snacks and water and all the stuff for my searches right out there in the desert. So I'm at Sam's Club putting all the stuff in the cart, and I get this text message, and text message say, "Hey, I have your son," or and of course, my heart rate go up and reading this text like, what is this person saying? Then they say, "Yeah, we have him holding him, and we broke his legs," and it's real horrible. I had mixed feelings. I had a couple things going on at the time when it happened. I had anger, frustration, and fear, right? Meaning that I was worried about my son. They said they broke his legs and they had him under some basement or something or other, and I need to do blah 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 to get him right. Disturbed me, very disturbing. I was so angry. I wanted to take everything to the store and slang it around. I felt helpless, right? Not being able to help my son, right? So I called my investigator at the time, and I told him, "Hey, look, man, this is going on." My investigator then told me, "Hey, look, let's go along with it to see if this person legit, see what's going on." I mean, it's hard. It's hard, you guys, to go through the process of crazy people. But the point is, it's one of those things that happen. It's one of those things that happens to families. It happened to me. But anyway, I had to go through the process of this guy. To make a long story short, he's really clever. He tried to make it like he was helping me, and also decided to say, make sure it didn't look and appear to be a ransom, right? He thought, "Oh man, I'm just doing this, and if they catch me, they'll kill me and him, and blah blah blah," and so on. It's going off all this kind of crazy stuff. Make a long story short, when I had to ask this guy the proof of life, before I give him anything, just playing along with this guy, I never heard anything back from him, right? But that's not the first time, and it wasn't the only time things happened. It started from that to graduated to becoming a death threat to me. We're watching you, and if you don't, blah, 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 there's going to be bloodshed. I started getting emails. It was crazy. So that's the kind of stuff that happens. I even got stuff to this date. Oh, I know who does this, and me and my family trying to get the family out of here. You get all kind of stuff. So there's different scams that come up. People are heartless. They don't care about the pain that people have to go through when they have a missing loved one. All they care about how they can try to line their pockets up, right? So I'm gonna go back here again. The definition of definition from the FBI is that the FBI defines this type of extortion as a range of telephonic coercion schemes for extorting quick ransom payments from the family of missing persons who are manipulated to believe their loved one has been abducted, is at risk of being abducted, or in immediate danger. Just like I said, we broke his leg and we got him here. Additionally, the FBI defines social media as a website and mobile application that allows users to create and share content or participate in social networks, working, or find people with similar interests. Mythology. While scammers use social media to target victims, it is known it used to extort vulnerable families of missing persons is lesser known. After identifying the missing person on social media, scammers research details details of the disappearance, the missing person, and missing person's family. Scammers often obtain telephone numbers for the family members on social media and use third-party calling, messaging applications to make ransom demands and disguise their true telephone number. And I had one person who did such thing as well. My public. That's why I have a public cell phone as well as one I just use for my family. The public cell phone, this guy texts me, and he using what I found out every time they hit me up with these burner phones, first of all. But he messed around and called me, I guess, and no, he texted me and I called the number and he messed around and answered the phone, but he heard the voice. As soon as he realized he messed up, he said, he said, call me back or text me or something out of other. And he hung up on me real fast. But I heard the voice for a split second saying those words, and then he hung up. He had never answered the phone ever again and did everything through text message. All right. The scammer often obtain telephone numbers for family members on social media and use third-party calling and messaging applications to make the ransom demands and disguise their true telephone number. The criminal actor generally requests between $5,000 and $10,000 in ransom, with 7,000 requests in multiple instances. Well, of course, the persons that I was dealing with requested a lot more. FBI investigation indicates these scammers use social media or networks to identify, initiate contact, and gain access to families of missing persons. Generally, offenders do not offer proof of life, and that's the thing. When I told you guys, when I asked the guy, I said, "Hey, give me proof of life," and that's when he shut down because he couldn't give me proof of life, and that made him go away with this crazy crap. However, in one instance, the accomplice made telephone calls to family members claiming to be the missing person. Offenders often claim the missing person is ill or injured, adding the urgency to the situation and putting additional pressure on families members to pay the ransom. Since the onset of COVID-19 nationwide stay-at-home orders, law enforcement has received several reports of scammers targeting families who have posted on social media about their missing family members. Although scammers use social media to identify victims prior to the pandemic, the efforts of COVID-19 on families' well-being are an added vulnerability and the additional opportunity for these actors to extort the families. And I'll tell you, it's when you read all of this, you guys, and you can keep going on and on, these victim reports and things like that. As you read this stuff from the FBI, you can see how sick people are. It's a lot of sick people out in the world. They like to capitalize on other people's pain. They don't care about that. They don't care about what a family member is going through. They capitalize on pain. Their whole drive in life is filled with evil thoughts, evil desires. Sometimes we look at some of these sick people like Jeff Adana or something, and we say, "Oh, these people are sick, going around eating somebody, this, that, blah, blah." But you got sick people that does that. That's all they do. They sit back and they probably watching the Q&A as well. They sit back and find ways to try to capitalize on other people's pains, other people's suffering. So family members need to be sure they watch out for things like that as well. I want to share something else that I have here, personal. All this is personal for me. And the reason I put this up, this is Q&A, some subject talking points that I want to have for you guys. And this is a subject that I want to talk about that's been going on going on with me in this situation here. Before I go there, I need to get a quick pause, you guys. Give me a quick pause. All right, thank you guys for pausing for me. I just had to get my daughter to go get something for me. Wanted to put this on the screen here, you guys, to talk about this. One of the things that's really been a real issue for me, and that's like I said, it's always about the scammers. Talking, that's what we're talking about. That was here on the FBI report, and I showed you guys that as well. But there's also ways that people scam. There's some things that I put together, not just my team. I have one of my team members. She's thought it was a great idea to discuss about the things that I had to go through personally, right? So I thought it was a good idea too. So what I did is made a little sheet here. I went on my daughter to see if she could find that other sheet. I meant to bring a copy so I could see it. For some reason I can't see it on the screen. If you guys can, matter of fact, if you guys can see it on the screen clearly, because I know I have some difficulties on the signal, and I think your feedback for you guys are kind of fuzzy. I hope y'all can see that. If y'all can see, I'm gonna put it back up again, and if you guys can see it clearly, let me know so I can give me some thumbs up in the chats, and that way I can know that you can read along with me. That'll help me out as well. So I'll wait to see if you guys can give me some thumbs up. If you can read this document, thank you. If you can't, let me know, and I'll try to go through it anyway. And I hope you guys can follow along with me because there's some of the things that happen. I want to kind of go. It's a little fuzzy. Okay, I got it from PA Channel, and, and like I said, you guys, I've been working with StreamYard to try to see if they can fix that problem. Can't read it. Okay, Jocelyn says she can't read it. At PA Channel, a little fuzzy. That's on the YouTube side. A little fuzzy. I have a Team Wildflower thumbs up. Jocelyn, like I said, can't read it. Shana have a thumbs up. So I have some that can and some can't. I definitely can't for right now on that screen. Let's see if my daughter, she can find that little paper off the printer. But one of the things I want to put, I'm see if I can lean up for and I can talk about it a little bit. Ways of scammers take advantage of your fears, right? And that's what the FBI was talking about. When you have a missing loved one, yeah, you're afraid that you're not going to find your loved one. You're afraid that they're going through pain. You're afraid that they're going through some kind of suffering, something, right? And that's one of the things that problematic for families at the beginning. Thank you. That's it. I really appreciate it. And that's the things is problematic is I have my little helper here this morning, you guys. I have my daughter. She's helping me as well, my younger daughter. But the thing is, before I go further, that just reminded me. I want to tell my twin daughters happy birthday. Today is their birthday, so I want to say happy birthday to them. I just want to make sure if they're watching the Q&A. I love you girls, and happy birthday to you both. And I will talk to you soon today. All right. And so, but yeah, the one of the biggest things, like I say, scam take advantage of your fears. And if anybody else can read that on the screen, I hope so. I wish I could make it a lot bigger. And thank you, Jocelyn, for that. I really appreciate that. You putting that there as well. Happy birthday. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. And they prey on your fears. And that's what I was saying. I was out there, hustling, trying to find Daniel with volunteers on the ground, trying to make sure the volunteers are taken care of and make sure they can continue to help me out there. I put the going out there that first initial, the first time I had somebody do that to me, and going out there to get those refreshments and those electrolytes and those safety things, and whatever I was doing, getting that Sam's Club that day, and just get that. You don't know what to expect when you have a missing loved one, and so they prey on your fears. Get the phone call, the text, you guys, is what I was talking about as well. And that's part of the fear tactic. You start getting those phone calls, you think you're going to get some little bit of hope. Somebody, because especially you see the tip line on the bottom that I have, having on the bottom to for those. I mean, that's one of the first things I did as well, is try to establish some type of tip line, right? And you have that down, and you're looking for help. You're looking for somebody to be able to help you some form of fashion. And it's scary. It's scary when they look at that. They'll see the phone calls and texts and give you some type of hope or some type of fear. They prey on that fear. So that's some of the things the family go to. Also the lure. One of the things is the lure was, for my instance, was we had direct, hey, I'm a person that's trying to help you. I'm trying to help you get your loved one back. I know information that would bring this person back to you. No, they play the good guy. I'm the good guy, the looking out. And that's the lure. That's the lure. So you say, hey, look, this person trying to help me. And what do I need to do? Then you put yourself in that position. What do I need to do for you? What I need to do to get my loved one back? And then that's when they jump on, they pounce on you, right? Wherever their real intentions are, and that's when they start pouncing. I'm put the tip line back down. So also that's the lure. I have direct information. Also, number 3, I have their threats, the injury. That don't work a lot of times, so they start reverting. Because I'll tell you, it had the burner phone ones from New York had a New York number, one had a Georgia number, one had, so they had these burner phones. But the threats come. Hey, look, I got this on you. If you don't do this, I'm gonna put this out in the public. That's the privacy type deal they try to say. Then they come with financial stuff. Look, hey, they come with this. Hey, look, I need to. I'm gonna freeze your account or whatever case may be. You hear it all, you guys. Death and injury. For me, it came through an email. Hey, we watching you. If you don't do this, blah blah blah, there's gonna be bloodshed. This, that, blah blah blah, so on, so on, so on. That's the stuff that I reported to the FBI that didn't do anything about it, as well as the Buckeye Police Department who didn't do anything about it. But that's the type of stuff that families have to go through, right? That's stuff I had to go through personally. Some of the stuff I'm putting here is personal. It's personal for me, right? Warning signs. Warning signs, all right? And the warning signs I'm going to give you guys for scammers, and I want to actually say that you're actually being scammed, but you can also be in the sense of fraud when I come to this section. When I say warning signs, you may be a victim of a scam. It could be a scam, it could be a fraud, or misleading, right? Or both, of all of the above. Number 1, scammers and frauds come in many forms. They could be family members, believe it or not. They could be friends, and also they could be professional people. When I say professional people, it could be a PI. It could be somebody who's saying they're a journalist, or you name it. These some of the things. How many times I've been promised that. I have one group, and I'm not gonna put these people's names up, but I had this one group say, hey, look, hey, we need this interview with you, Mr. Robinson. We're going to get you to Dr. Phil and blah, 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 and so on, so on. And you believe these things. I've been trying to get Dr. Phil for a while with this Crime Con. Dr. Phil's office, to give him credit too. He the one introduced me to Crime Con. He had them to reach out to me and get me to Crime Con, which is great. I wanted to get on Dr. Phil to get Daniel's story out there. But this stuff was promised. Some things we get the promise to you, and then these people disappear. You get journalists that'll come out and say, oh, we're going to do the blah, blah, blah. Where they say the journalists come out and blah, 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 give these empty promises. Hey, we're going to try to get this series going, this, that, blah, blah, and then you'll hear nothing from them. So things like that can happen with family. Give you kind of false hopes is what I'm saying. Those things are false hopes, and those scammers and frauds can come in those ways for families. So families need to look out for that, who you talk to. Make sure you get some verifications on people who say they want to get these problems. Get some stuff up front, especially when it comes to contract. It's okay to get a contract attorney. I have an attorney. Get a contract attorney, but it's okay to get contracts on certain things too when it comes to media and everybody else too, because they will give you some stuff. And it's a story. A lot of women probably know this, and I'm not going to say the lady's name exactly, but she's one of the Atlanta housewives type thing. And her and her husband, when they're little kids, but her and her husband got scammed that way. You get some person come and say, hey, I'm a journalist, and I want to tell your story. The only person should be able to tell your story is yourself, right? But I want to give you, well, they don't even say they want to tell your story. They come off as they want to tell your story. They get all the information they can from you about your own life and your own story. You start telling them things. You start talking to these people, and then they come write a book about your life and make money, right? Or sell a story and put something out. That's what happened to one of the Atlanta housewives type folks. And they had to go back and try to sue this person, right? So So that's the kind of scams that you got to worry about it, from being a family. You put yourself out in the public sphere as well. Somebody else will try to sell your story, because it's not about you really. It's not about the loved one. It's about them coming up and make money. So that's what I'm saying. There's another form of scams that goes on with families as well. Also, you guys, also one of the signs, it may be from, like, say, professional. One of the biggest things that happen as well is they'll come up to you and say, "Hey, look, somebody come out the woodwork. You don't know who they are." Cause I had many phone calls like that at the beginning. Man, I got so many calls from different PIs to you name it. I mean, just everywhere, right? And though at the beginning, then I was confused. I'm like, man, who I need to choose? And one of the scam parts is, the first thing they do is start talking pro bono. Pro bono is one of those pro bono deals is one of those things I really you need it sometimes. Like I told you guys, when I came to Arizona, one of the biggest things I didn't do, what a person would do, but you're not thinking in your right mind when you have a missing loved one. You're not thinking about how much it's going to cost. You don't, be honest with you, really don't give a damn, excuse my expression, how much anything, because your mind is going off to where I need to go do something. I didn't know how much it's going to cost to live in Arizona. I didn't know the cost of living was higher. I didn't know that, all the expenses that was going to be just to do the searches and keep the flyer things going. I didn't know all of the stuff that I know now, right? So I didn't know what to ask for, what to do, or how to provide, take care of it. So you just don't know. So somebody come to you and out the blue, and they say, "Hey, I want to do pro bono work for you." What's the first thing you want to do? Is, man, oh my God, I'm a spiritual guy. So in my eyes, I would say, "Hey, this is a blessing from God. This is what I need to do," and I will go out and do that, right? Accept this pro bono, right? But the pro bono can be a blessing. It can also be a curse. Not saying everybody who does pro bono is doing something wrong, but I learned something from my attorney. It's because I call it a bait and switch. They come off and say, "Hey, I'll do this work for you," and you say you accept it because you need that help, and you need that need, and you have that need, you need that help, and you go ahead and do that. But that pro bono, cost you more than it would if you would have been just went ahead and hired somebody, right? And because what happens is that later on, it can say things like, "Hey, I can't afford it anymore," and then they hit you with this big bill. That what they really wanted at the beginning, but they get you tied in emotionally. I'm your friend. I'm really close to you. Really, that kind of stuff. Get you that tied and invested into them, and then bam, they hit you with that bill because they can't afford it. Because you looking at them now as a friend, and you're like, "Hey, look, I can't afford it no more," and you're trying to help them out. So you make sure you go ahead and make sure they're taken care of as well. So I call it a bait and swap. Hey, look, I bait you with the pro bono, and then I swap it back on you for what I was trying to get at the beginning. Get you to hire me to get the money that I'm looking for. All right. What to look out for to avoid being when hiring an investigator is uninitiated contact. Like I said, when they just pop up to you and you're not going out and trying to find your own private investigator, they come to you. Out of the woodwork, you don't know where they come from. They just show up, and and they really make themselves really present to you really strongly. The second part of that is the sales pitch. They unverified accomplishment. Hey, I got all these cases. I got this, that, blah, blah, and so on, so on. I'm the best thing since sliced bread. That kind of stuff. They get a big, strong sales pitch to you as all the accomplishments and this and that and blah, blah, blah. And they're overly concerned about your situation. Don't get me wrong. People do genuinely care, but they're overly doing it. They're overly doing it. You got to watch it out for that to see what the motives really are. It's okay to be to approach a person circumspectly, kind of look at them in a way. It's okay to have a little suspicious nature when it comes to dealing with anything. You do that with business. You guys, I don't know how many of y'all have business and stuff like that. And you hire somebody, but at the same time, you have to kind of look at them to make sure you step back and you kind of watch a little bit, that type deal. You kind of watch a little bit to make sure, that they're who they say they are. And that's one of the biggest things that you have to do, kind of step back and look at people from a distance, right? They're over concerned. one of the biggest highlights of the one of the biggest no-goes when it comes to a private investigator is no contract. They would talk to you and keep going and on and on and on, distract you really bad, distract you so much that you didn't realize that when they say pro bono mean that you need to get a contract as well. And I think and that's one of the biggest things as well. That's one of the biggest problems that a lot of families can run into. I learned that from my attorney. Pro bono work mean that you have to do contract as well. Contract as well. Make sure contract. That's what I'm saying, you guys. I don't care if it's a person want to get your story on a platform. They need some form of contract. Something you guys are signing that's saying this, and that, and blah, blah, blah. Have your contract attorney to look at it. It don't cost much to have a contract attorney to look at something and say, hey, yeah, that's a good document to sign, and it tell you the ins and out of what's going on in this document, right? But you need something contractual, because especially with pro bono and everything else, because that will come back and hem you up. I'm telling you guys, even when somebody said they're gonna come do something for you for free, they'll come back and hem you up, right? Take it from people who know. And the thing is, so families need to be aware of that. You can tell families that as well. Be careful with that as well. No contract, no deal. I don't care if it's pro bono or not. So again, to go back over thing with that uninitiated contact, they come out of the woodwork. I mean, you're gonna get a lot of it. Sales pitch. Hey, look, I have one that actually put in so many articles about himself, and like those articles came from the 1950s or something. I don't know. I don't know how old the guy is, but But the thing is, the sales pitch, the accomplishments, and things like that. I have them say things like, "Hey, look, I can't afford it," but at the same time, bragging about how many clients the person would have, um, how much clients they would have, and that they have so many clients they can't do them all or something, right? But at the same time, say don't have any money, and because like I said, that's the befriend you part. Over the term, befriend you, you become invested in that person that invested, you become invested in them, and then when that pity story come out, of course, what do you do? You know what I'm saying? So you don't go back and say, hey, we pro bono, buddy. Sorry, you don't have a contract to even say that, right? So make sure you do the contract. Make sure that you know who you're dealing with and things like that. If I wouldn't tell people about pro bono. Um, Everybody have their needs. I had my need, but I'll be honest with you guys. And for me personally, I won't do pro bono. I'd rather take care of things a different way. You have a little more demand. You have a little bit more leeway when you're doing things. So, but you still can have demand, guys, if you do pro bono, but you make sure you have a contract. Person really wanting to help you out, they will want to sign a contract with you pro bono, because they're saying, hey, this is what I want to do for you, and I want to put this on paper. I want to be exactly what it is that I'm saying I'm doing. I want to obligate myself to what I say. So that's how you can tell if a person really meaning to help you as a family member, or they're not. If they don't offer you a contract, don't go for pro bono with this person. All right, don't put yourself out like that. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. Also, the other week I was on talking about last Q&A about the meeting that we had with the Tempe Police Department. When I say we, me and my team, you guys how I feel about the A team. We had the meeting, and the last Friday, it was on the 8th. Met with the Tempe Police Department, assistant chief. Assistant chief was two of them. Both assistant chief. The chief, he couldn't make it. He was had some scheduling difficulties, but and 5 others in that department, ranging from a lieutenant to staff worker. But we had a meeting with them, and we had a lot of information going back and forth. They were able to tell us that they was completed with the forensics on Daniel's electronics. They didn't give us a full brief. He just wrote down a few items that he wanted to talk about on those what they had so far. It's not the totality of things, right? But they just wrote some key points of what they found and things they said, right? They made it appear that was it to us, But after the meeting and pushing, we realized that their report is not complete, right? So the thing is, we're waiting on that, on their findings. I cannot. That's why I don't put out a lot of details on that, you guys, because I don't have everything. But I can tell you some things were discovered because of that. As you guys know, I've been putting out there months ago about Dane's apartment, for instance. When I start sharing those information about what my investigator saw versus what I saw in Dane's apartment. When I say what I saw by pictures, right? The Buckeye Police Department went in to do a check, right? With like I told you, the landlords. When I say went in, they couldn't touch anything. What they did is walked in the landlords. We had an agreement with the landlords to walk into that apartment, and to they couldn't touch anything, but they was able to just kind of look around, and they could take pictures, right? And so when they get the pictures to me, of course, I see some things. Talked to Detective Biff at that time, and he said, "Oh yeah, everything seems like it's okay, but it's a little, his room was a little messy or whatever." Because he asked me, "Hey, your son's a little messy sometimes, when it comes to his room." I said, "Yeah, when he was a kid, but when I saw it as a parent, when you showed me that, it turned out to be parent mode for me. I went to parent mode, meaning that when Daniel was a little kid, I would have been like, "Dad, you need to go out there and clean your room. You need to clean that up," right? So that's why I was looking at it from parent mode. And then he said, "No, it wasn't that bad. The apartment was bad. It's just that his room was a little messy," right? That's how Detective Biffin put it. But then when my investigator, time after my investigator went in and looked at it, and do his thing, which I'm still waiting on a report from that, you guys, to find out details about what he found. He had to say, "Hey, I'm going to do this whole forensic thing." I had a little bag saying he's going to do this forensic stuff. When I hindsight now, I'm thinking about it, you guys, I want to see a forensics report from Mr. McGrath on the apartment, right? Because that's he told me. I left him and his team there to Daniel's apartment. Of course, I have been in that apartment at that point. I went to the apartment complex with him. He went inside to do his thing. I left him there, and he brought me back the key when it was done, right? So one of the things is he reported back to me without the forensics take or anything else. He just verbally discussing with me his take on what he's seen on the pictures. He showed me the pictures. He took some of the pictures, and he was like, "Look, he thinks somebody from blah, 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 blah." I didn't show you guys all the pictures on here because, I can't give everything when it comes to investigative stuff, but I can tell you he was looking at it like he showed me these numerous of pictures and say, "Hey," and the reasons why he feels somebody was in there looking for something, right? Because he showed pictures, of course, I went back to that paramour, like, "Oh man, I'm so embarrassed. The room looked a mess." No, that's not the way Daniel was keeping his room. He could be a boy and get a little something there, but this was a mess, right? And things were thrown all over the place. And so he looked at it, somebody was in there tampering around, and the reasons why he put it in from a detective way about the vacuum cleaner, why this, that, blah, blah. You can look at this item sitting here, and it shows a pattern of somebody looking for something, right? And we can't say it wasn't Daniel, or we could say, we don't know who, but somebody was looking for something, right? Unless he had the forensic stuff. Somebody looked for, he told me he had some luminol or whatever the cause stuff. He's going to do all this stuff. So I'm waiting on that report. But the thing is, somebody was looking for something, and here it is in the meeting on the 8th this month, and talking with the Tempe Police Department, who was able to go through the electronics. Somebody was tampering with the electronics, right? During those times before I had access to the department, for Buckeye Police Department, anybody come in, somebody was tampering without for my investigator. Somebody was tampering with his device. So make a long story short, those two things are going together. They look for something, and also they was looking on this computer device. That would put something in dealing with my son's disappearance has something to do with Tempe as well. We don't know it was before or after Daniel went missing, but it's more reasonable to say it went after he went missing. And so that puts some liability, I feel, on the Tempe Police Department. That's one of the things we're discussing with them. what point are they feeling like they have some liability as into my son's case, right? And so that's one of the biggest things that we're dealing with as from the standpoint of meetings with the Tempe Police Department. We have a former law enforcement officer in my team. I won't tell which department he came from, but the thing is, from him and some others, law enforcement, I mean, that's the only department I've heard that says they shouldn't have took Daniel's case at the beginning. That's what they say. But you talk to these other outside law enforcement agents and say, no, Tempe should have been the lead person on my son's case, right? There's no, and one of the things I point out to the Tempe Police Department as well in that meeting is that there's no proof that this guy is telling the truth from the website, right? Other than his word. There's nothing. They didn't no cell phone pin. They didn't pull his phone records. They didn't, everything that suggests that from Daniel's phone records and everything else from timeline say that he's lying. Saying he's not telling the truth. So you can't. So I'm saying if your story don't match paper, tangible stuff, evidence, you can't rely on that person's testimony. You can really rely on the guy's testimony in court. If he had to go to court, you can't rely on the testimony. You saying one thing and it don't match the reality. You can't use that in court. So the whole point is why is the law enforcement allowing themselves to use some unproven? Like as Tempe, did they go out and talk to this guy himself to make sure that he was the last that his story is true? That they didn't have, because we do know Daniel live in Tempe, and his apartment's there. So the whole point is, I'm saying, you guys, did you vet the whole story before you saying, hey, look, yeah, that's Buckeye's case and all this happened in Buckeye, whatever the case may be? No, they did not, right? So hopefully that's what they're doing right now, looking into all of that and try to get this thing right. All that is important, you guys. It may not sound like, hey, it's just law enforcement. No, all this is important when it comes to your loved one being missing. You got to be really into it. I told the team last night, I hope a lot of families like this, like I am, be in it with the law enforcement agencies. Don't ever just get on your phone. Like I told you, I said it many times, I'm sitting at the phone in South Carolina today, and I never did come to Arizona, and I'm calling today, hey, y'all finding information about my son, and y'all, what y'all got? And the man sitting back, and he laying back here on speakerphone. Yeah, we out here right now looking for your son. I'm not there to see you out here looking for my son. I'm not seeing anything. You have to literally push people. People tell you anything on the phone, whether it's business or whatever the case may be. People tell you anything over the phone. You have to be in their face. You have to look at the reality. People can sell you, like I said, the paper I showed, the stuff I put up there, people sell you what they want to sell you, right? They can sell you anything. So what I'm saying is, be present. Another thing I would tell a family, be present. Always be present and be active in your missing loved one's case. Do everything you can to be involved. Everything. Almost hold their hands if you have to. Hold law enforcement hands while you're trying to. I'm serious. They might not like you. They might be pissed off. They have to go to work. They talking to their husband, wife at home. Oh man, I gotta go deal with this family member. Yes, please, by all means, do. That's your loved one. That's not there. They go home and break bread with their kids and their wives and adult husbands or whatever they do. They'll say, "Hey, I care." But you think they really care when they go home and they with their families and they feel safe and they feel all right, they got their loved one home. They're not gonna be at home worrying about your loved one missing. It's a job to them. You know what I'm saying? They doing that on their clock hours. They go home, they like some men would say, I was gonna say who said this to me, out of sight, out of mind. I don't see you, I don't think about you. That type deal. Out of sight, out of mind. And that's how someone would approach it. So, but you got to make sure they see you all the time and they can't get you out of their mind. You haunting them in their sleep. You pressing them so hard, and that's what you have to do, the law enforcement and whoever, to make sure they taking care of your loved ones, doing everything they can to they can say it all they want. Actions speak louder than words. what it said, Chief Hall at the time on CNN said, Sarah Seidner said, the family said that you don't care. You basically Buckeye don't care. And he had that smirk on his face and say, oh, that's fathers from the truth. Your actions speak louder word. The actions saying is you don't care. You know, a person would not feel a certain way if you gave them actions as if you're doing, as you do. You can be put on a acting deal, but if family feel like you care, they'll fall for it. But they don't even try to hide it. You know, the Buckeye mayor, assistant mayor, the whole city council up there, they don't even try to hide that they don't care about me, my family, Daniel's situation. They ain't even trying to hide it. To this date, I don't have a letter or anything from those people. Went to the city council meeting, they face looked like stone. I mean, literally like stone. Almost if I was a person, if I was a fearful person, which I'm not fear anyone. You stand up and look at those stone-faced people with no emotions, don't care. Almost like, why are you up in my place? You need to get the hell out of here, basically. You know, you look at their faces with no empathy, no love, no nothing in their heart, you know, from their face expression. Yeah, you'd be ready to run up out of here, you know. But the thing is, I'm saying, you guys, that's some things to think about. I'm going to another, but I want to get to some real good questions really quick and go to the comment section. I know the team are like, man, what's going on, David? You haven't got to questions yet. But you know what? I want to get some of these questions, but I wanted to put out a lot of those information. Like I said, this is fast and prayer for Daniel. And I just wanted to put some information before I get going, you guys, to talk about some things that's on my heart and my mind. And guess I still see that poll moving. I really appreciate you guys. Tub, thanks so much for being here this morning, as well as Tracy. Thank you so much for being here this morning. Everybody who joined in, if you guys have any questions for me, of course, as always, put the capital letter Q there, the question mark, the word question before your question. As I'm coming down the comment section, I can get it. Because I'm going kind of fast this time. I haven't run out of time, you guys, and I just want to get to some questions. I've tried to get some of your comments I see as I'm coming down, but if I don't get those, please come to this evening's Q&A. Where I'll be ending the fast and prayer for Daniel, as well as putting out some of the same content and be able to talk a little bit more and answer your questions. I put more emphasis on answering some of these questions. But thank you, Marianne. Thank you so much for your love support off the Facebook side. You pray that I pray he's found. This case is one that sticks with me and bothers me daily. Thank you so much for your love and empathy. I can't imagine what his family feels. And you know, it's painful, Marianne. Thank you so much for your love and your empathy and your love and your support. I really appreciate that and your words. Thank you so much for joining in on this Q&A. Also, thank you, Monica, for being here as well. Nissa, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you for that super chat I saw earlier. Excuse me, I saw the super chat there earlier. You're constantly giving those super chats. I really appreciate it. God bless you so much. You and your husband. Good morning to you as well. And thank you so much. Okay, Monica as well. Thank you so much. The last guy that saw him last need to be questioned again. Yeah, I agree with you. And not just questioned. I think that his story need to be vetted like I did. You guys, I've been on the ground. I did a video here and I put on the Q&A on the ground to vet his story. It don't even add up on the ground. Staying left of the tracks, the stuff he told me, it don't even match. The place they told me the well site was, don't even match the story. 1 mile west, 2 miles north will lead you to the well site that I found you guys with all the stuff in it, right? All of that. The last guy said, yeah, so I agree with you, Monica. But police department want to look at this guy as a nice person without vetting the story. I don't care. I'll say it like this. I don't want to call somebody a liar. Vet the story and see if that person is a liar. Let the facts speak for itself. Let the evidence speak for that truth or not. They'll be surprised with things they find. They'll find some things I already found. Thank you, Gene, so much for being here already. I thank you for your prayers. Constant prayer, I need that. I really need that. Thank you so much for that love off the Facebook side. Thank you so much for your support. Team Wildflower, thanks so much for your constant support as well. Good morning to you. Constantly being a part of the Q&A. I really appreciate you. Forever Curious, Thank you so much for being here and also being so much the support from Scotland. Being a supporter who's been very helpful and by sharing Daniel's story as well as being here on the Q&A. I really appreciate you constantly doing that. Nissa, thank you again for the super chat. Like I said, and thank you for the question. It really means a lot to me what you and your husband do. God bless you so much. The question is, how long had Daniel been employed by his company before he went missing? I think it was almost 3 years. I think it was a little over 2 years that Daniel went before he went missing with that company. And but yes, it's been a little over 2 years, probably closer to 3 that Daniel was working there. Matrix New World. Matrix New World. Matrix New World is also called Matrix Southwest Groundwater. So thanks so much for that question. I really appreciate it. Thank you for the super chat. And thank you for the comment back. I see your comment. My pleasure, Mr. Robinson. I help in the ways I can. It's who I am. And I can see that. It's coming from your heart. I really believe that. Bottom line, we need to find Daniel. I really appreciate you so much. Thank you, Shauna, for being here as well. Being a moderator in the chats. Thank you for the hashtag. You guys can put that on your social media. I really appreciate that. If you guys can do that. Hashtag fast and prayer for Daniel. We're going to be fasting and prayer today and get those answers, not just for Daniel, for other families as well. Thank you, Ellen, for being here as well. Fair Curious, thanks again. Thanks, Sophia, for being here as well. Thanks for being on the Q&A last week. I hope I get you back on again to hold those questions for me. Thanks so much for being a moderator, a team member, and also being, the treasurer for the Daniel Robinson Foundation. You too, Shauna, for being the secretary for Daniel Robinson Foundation. I really appreciate it. You guys being a part of the board. Thank you, Shauna, for putting a like, share, subscribe, guys. If you guys are new to this YouTube channel, please don't forget that before you leave to hit the like, share, subscribe button. That help the algorithms grow. Excuse my voice, I'm starting to lose it. Help the algorithms get Daniel's story out a little farther. I want more support I can. The numbers to grow up on the I guess subscribers is the word I'm looking for. And also that comes with a lot of incentives with the YouTube side of things to, like I said, get Daniel's story out the father. Thank you, Tracy, for being here. Thanks for putting a hashtag there. I really appreciate fast and prayer for Daniel. I really appreciate that. Shauna, thank you for your question. Oh, well, thank you for putting information up there. Bring your questions, you guys. I'll start with the capital letter Q, the word question, or the question mark like she have here. You guys can put those up before your questions and stuff like that. I can get to those questions a lot easier as I'm coming down because I'll get ready to start speeding it up. And I really want to get every comment, every comment that you guys have as well. So I really want to get those. So thank you so much for putting those comments. Thank you, Larnell, for being part of the team as well, board member, friend, as well as a team member. So thanks so much for supporting. But yeah, I want to be able to put that up there. Okay, I have here, let's see, 7777. Okay, there you go. I lost track, guys, where I was at here. Thank you, Seven, for being here this morning. I really appreciate it. Was there confirmation the vehicle had been there all along, or had it been brought there? According to my investigator, it's a stage event. And of course, you hear a lot of flab out there in the public. But according to my investigator, some information, it's a stage event. The vehicle was somewhere before it entered. It wrecked somewhere else before it entered into that ravine. Excuse me, guys. I want to apologize. Okay. Yeah, it was definitely one of those type stage events, according to my investigator, and all the physical evidence that was that he found on the vehicle, as well as through the data and stuff like that. So I hear a lot of stuff in the public, but it's some knowledge. So of course, information, of course, that's not in the public that would suggest some things as well from my investigative standpoint. Excuse me. I'm really choking here again, you guys. TN Wildflower, Mr. Wildflower, thanks so much for your question. Mr. Robinson, do you think the new information about Dane's computer can force Tempe Police Department to take the case? I would hope so. I would hope so that not just Tempe. I want to be the one of the players But we also have Maricopa County. My son, I just want Daniel's case away from the Buckeye Police Department. And, when I say away from it, not necessarily taken away from it, I just need the Buckeye, I need the Tempe Police Department, Maricopa County, to start their own case investigation, right? You don't need to go to Buckeye to get anything from Buckeye. There's enough information out here and that stuff. And like I told them, they say, oh yeah, we can't get information from Buckeye unless they give it to us. Why not? If Buckeye really cared about my son's case, for instance, right? Why they want to hold on to it? It only could be about pride. It only could be about pride, and it could be about themselves. It ain't about Daniel. Like I told you, I haven't seen nothing that come out of Buckeye yet that would suggest that it really care about Daniel's case. You can say a lot of things in your mouth. You can go out there and look and do whatever they do, minimal stuff they do. I get that. You can go out there and do whatever. But at the same time, I feel like I say it like this. If I was Buckeye, I'd be more like, look, we messed up. They know they messed up. The family don't have any confidence in what we're doing, right? And it's simple. It's almost the same thing, like I said, guys. When there were some things that was going on, transpired, and all Buckeye had to do is go get help. You got all these law enforcement agencies outside of Buckeye in Arizona. They could have went in one of those and said, hey, we need your assistance, right? We need your lab, we need this, blah, blah, blah. They could have did all of that. But no, they gave those things back over to me and say, we dumped the case, told my investigator when investigated. They magically investigated because it's all about them. I'm telling you guys. They went investigated and told me I'm going to leave to follow, right? They were done with Daniel's case. Gave me everything. That's why I got everything. They were done with it. They were done. But I'm saying it's easy for them. They could have easily just gave Daniel's case over to somebody to handle it from that point when they see this family don't have no confidence in me. It's not about me and about my department. It's about us finding this young man, right? If they really care. Because we messed up. There's other departments that can take this case. Maricopa County, they could have went straight to Maricopa County. They're responsible. My son was missing Maricopa County. So what I'm saying is, it's a lot of ways. I'm hoping that the outside agency do what they should do, and information wise, there's nothing that Buckeye have that I don't have. Hell, most things they claim they have, it came from me. They're just taking credit for it. So that's what I'm saying, you guys. They have plenty leeway to start their own investigation. Leeway to they don't need to get like some of these police departments try to hide behind. Well, we can't go to get Buckeye to force them to get. You don't need nothing from Buckeye. Start your own investigation. I got all the information. You want some information? You want to find out some detail? I have the vehicle. I have this the forensics that they did the forensic stuff on. What do Buckeye have? How can you be investigating? They don't even ask themselves the question. How did Buckeye investigate? They don't even have anything to investigate with, right? They turn all the stuff over to me. Oh yeah, we did a little swab under my request. Oh, we swabbed the steering wheel and looked for fingerprint under my request. A steering wheel, that seat need to be swabbed to make sure nobody was on that passenger side. The key fob need to be done. I mean, there's so much. The red transfer need to be done. The airbags need to be done. All this kind of stuff, right? They have did their job. Just like I told you, Buck, I came in and have did the search for it on that well until I had to go get my company to get in to go in that well and look. So what I'm saying is, you guys, yeah, Tempe can do it if they want to. Some people, they just pass the ball. Tracy, thanks so much. Ken, the second person who saw Daniel be interviewed again. I relate to him to be. I'll try to be careful where I want to say it, but yeah, he need to be looked into again. I would just say interviewed again, and I don't believe his story. I don't believe his story. You guys got to ask this question as well. This guy went to Buckeye Police Department, and in January, the Buckeye Police Department Detective Biffin told me they vetted the guy's story and they believe it. It's credible, but you don't see his statement or anything about him in a report, right? If they believe it, why they ain't put it in a report? Why they ain't going in that way? But the reason why I don't believe it because of the information, like what Shivas Nation said, how my son gonna be directing. His story is a lie. He changed the story as well. All these people changed the story. He changed the story from 1 o'clock seeing my son to 10 o'clock in the morning, right? He changed it. And his story changed when my investigator found out the first initial crash on his vehicle happened around 1 o'clock. As soon as he heard that, he changed the story to 10 o'clock. That's suspect to me. Also, the fact that his story said that the second person now, that my son gave him directions of where to target practice at in that area. My son never been out there before. Like Shiro Nation said, it don't make sense. Don't add up. Suspect. Also, the fact that he said that he first saw Daniel through the rifle, through the scopes of his rifle, which I don't like. I'm a military guy. I don't like that, hearing that, right, from a distance. Suspect, you know. And also from his background, some things that I will not put out there in the public as well, like this guy did who messed that part of the case up. What they call internet sleuths, what they call themselves. Suspect. You know what I'm saying? So those are suspect type deals. So when I say there's no going back to this guy just to interview, they need to look into the guy, you know, and the whole story and everything else. And I can't see how, with all of that, the Buckeye Police Department feel he's justified and he's okay. He's good to go, basically. You know, that type deal. All right. I have a question from T and Wildflower. Will Tempe give you a written report of their findings on the forensics they conducted? Yeah, we're waiting on that. And yes, I should be receiving that pretty soon. I'm looking for that. Not letting it go. You know, I'm not gonna say, hey, we're gonna have a meeting, that was it. No, they need to provide that really quickly. They say they're gonna do it real quickly, and I'm looking for it. Matter of fact, they have plenty of time. They should be getting it this week. They should have had it this week or something, probably before. Are you able to tell us information came from the non-public search? Oh, well, on the thing, no, we didn't get it. We didn't find anything out there. The forensics part of things is the search, the non-public search is to, from a forensic standpoint, see what could be found out there and if there's any clues to some things that was missed, basically. But no, I don't have anything that came back from that non-public search, but the efforts was really good. It also gave give me the opportunity to have that's what happened on the search, the public search, gave me the opportunity to have the forensics department to bring in hopefully some of the students as well to be a part of this big public search. So, but yeah, it definitely was some things on the ground in those areas to try to look at those areas to see if there's anything from a science standpoint that stands out to them. Also, if we found more human remains, we have people who can really identify it really quickly. So that's what the extent of the private search was for. So that's the only thing I have on that. Nothing to come out of it, as in we didn't find it. We found some animal remains, but it was nothing came out of that was be helpful towards finding Daniel, or outside of the well that you guys I was telling you about. They had the stuff in the bottom of that. That department as well. I think is very highly need to be looked into from their expertise. Outside of that, no, that's nothing else. So thanks so much for that question. I have let's see here. Anybody else have any more questions here? I have Shauna putting the petition up, and Shauna, you must have read my mind. Again, thanks, Shauna, for being the secretary of the Daniel Robinson Foundation as well, a board member and also moderator. 123,175 voices on that petition. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you guys for putting your voices on the petition. I still need a petition. That petition will be helpful coming up to this. I'm talking to my team. We're gonna figure this out, but it'll be helpful coming up to this protest that I'll be having in February. So you guys can continue on putting your voice to that petition. I truly appreciate it. You guys go to pleasehelpfinddaniel.com and you can see the petition. You can go in there and put your voice into that. Thank you. Share it and get more voices. Daniel's case needs FBI involvement. I've been told through the Tempe meeting that that may be prompting some talk with the FBI. So hopefully that would come. Tempe will be coordinating a meeting with the FBI and to try to get them into contact with me. So hopefully that works out as well. That came out from that meeting as well. And also, Tippy did discuss in that meeting, I want to throw that out real quick, that they felt that, had they been taking this case, that direction would have been totally different in the way this case has been handled. Of course, it'd have been a different direction. They had no reason. Tippy has reason to agree that it's a possible criminal case here on this as well, right? Because all the evidence is there. You cannot look at all the evidence, physical evidence that my investigator found, as well as looking at the scene, as well as a combination with everything I know about my son, my family. We know his mother, and for the Buckeye Police Department, it's really just staying on strong that it's not a criminal or even possible criminal case. So the Tempe Police Department expressed that they would have saw it a lot different. So you guys can take it that way as well. All right, and Shonda, thanks so much for putting the information out here with the link to the petition on change.org. And also, like I said, you guys can go to pleasehelpfinddaniel.com as well. Shonda, for putting this information out as well. Phoenix FBI website. You guys, that's the field office for the website. Thank you, Shonda, for putting that in the chats. That's who I'm sending information. You guys want to reach out to the FBI office and demand them to get into Daniel's case, you can as a citizen. That's the website, the Phoenix Department Field Office. You guys can go ahead and do that as well. That would help me. Shonda, thanks so much for the information about the tip line. Also the fast and prayer. If you guys can do that today, put the hashtag fast and prayer for Daniel. Come back this evening on a primetime Q&A where we can talk about it some more. I can do the prayer as well. Don't forget to Shonda put out the information for you guys in the chats. Public search February 25th, 2023. You guys, please make plans to come out and support the public search, as well as the weekend before the protest. Thank you, Shonda, you putting out so much information. I really appreciate that. Stay up to date by following Daniel's case on all social media platforms and websites. All right, so everything it says, please help find Daniel. Whether it's Twitter, please help find Daniel. Whether it's TikTok, whether there is Facebook, whether it's Instagram, YouTube. Only difference is, you guys, when you go to Twitter, it's not please help find Daniel. It's please help find and then the number 4. Please help find 4. And so anything else you guys see out there in the sphere, out there on social media platform, it is not associated with me. That's another thing, you guys, to go back to scams and things like that, is people would do open GoFundMe, even the GoFundMe, please help find Daniel. People open up GoFundMe in the name of efforts for Daniel to capitalize on that. I've seen that as well. They capitalize on that. So be careful. Go to the website, pleasehelpfinddaniel.com, if you want to donate and things like that. The information is there. Donate tab. Don't be a victim of that scams. All right. So, and let's see here. Ellen, thanks so much for being here. And I just kind of saw something you wrote and I wanted to read it. I heard you on NPR radio last Wednesday. Topic was missing person and the lack of attention to missing persons of color. You and your family are in my daily prayers, and I really thank NPR, the young man who wrote the article. He did give me the article version of that. I didn't know he had the radio version up, but that's very good. NPR did a really good job. I really appreciate him expressing that. And it does happen a lot. That's one of the things that I'm really, being a person of color, a black man, I'm really disturbed by that. Saying when I had to personally live that. Saying you have missed a loved one, you expect to get all the attention and urgency, and then you realize it doesn't escape you. I get the question all the time when I was dealing with on the national stage, dealing with them bombarding me with the question when the Petito case was going on, and it was talking about the disparities, and it was hard for me to take my mind off of looking for my son to try to think about the disparities. And I really want to avoid the questions, but
but it slaps you in the face. Say you cannot avoid it. So two people want to say, hey, you want to bring that up, but it's statistically true. You cannot avoid it. And then I was actually living it in real time, right? So actually living in real time made me say, look, you know what? There is disparities out there. That people do get treated based on your race or things. Don't get me wrong. It happens to people of all color, whether you're white, black, or whatever, where the urgency is not there and when it should be. But it's more so true when you're a person of color. And I had to, live it in real time. So it hurts. It hurts really bad when you look at that. And I still constantly look at some of these cases after Daniel went missing. Excuse me, guys. I always have the issues. But the cases after Daniel went missing that would get so much attention, right? Without efforts. The FBI is in the case. These other departments are in the case. They don't necessarily finding the person or anything, but at least they have that support. And I see it all the time. I can name a few here, but I'm not going to do it today. And it bothers me. And I hear, because I talk to a lot of what you call people with content creation that really like true crime community. I gained a lot of friends through the true crime communities, and they talk about these cases and they throw, hey Dave, you heard about this case of this person missing, blah blah. And I take a peek when I do get an opportunity. I take a peek at the case, and I just see how some of the cinema. Because a lot of times people come to me, hey, Mr. Roberts, this case is so similar to Daniel's story, and then I see it, and and that case get treated different. It might not be in Arizona, it may not be in Buckeye, but the case get treated a lot different. And it's very hurtful to see that I can't get it for Daniel after a year. It took over a year. Took a year before I was able to get forensic done on his electronics. Think about that. There's stuff like that. So, but anyway, thank you so much, Ellen, for listening to the NPR. And thank you, NPR, for doing the interview with me. I forgot the young man's name, but I really thank him too. And I mention him when I look at his email. Forever Curious, thank you so much for your question. Will protest be live streamed? Can't be there in person, but would attend live stream. Thanks so much, Forever Curious, for just your whole desire for wanting to be there. I really appreciate it. And desire to see a live stream. I'm not sure, but I can tell you is that my aim is to have of course, the media. I wanted to be so impactful that it would be live stream. When I say live stream, it would be locally live stream or on the local front, or at least the local news would be covering it or something. I'm not sure. I don't know if I'll really be doing a live or not. I'm sure some of the people that will be with me, my team as well, may decide to want to say, hey, let's live stream this. We'll talk about that. I'm not sure just at this point, Forever Curious, but yeah, we'll talk about that, and that'll probably be one of the things that we do as a team. Have someone to live stream while we're doing the protest. Let's see if I have one. Okay. Barry, I was trying to see if I put something that I think you had up here. I think of Barry. If you hire someone to do pro bono work, get the contract. Yeah, and that's what I said. Thank you so much, Barry. You also as well been a board member as well. Team, I really appreciate you as well, Vice President of Danny Robinson Foundation. Thank you so much for putting that up, because that's when I was talking about the contract on the pro bono side. You guys, yeah, make sure you get a contract, because if you don't, you'll be a victim of what I call that swap, bait and swap. Bait you into their service in exchange for saying I'm doing it for free. Bait you into that, and then swap once they befriend you and get you invested. So yeah, make sure you get the, and it's not that people don't want to
take care of business. You know what I'm saying? But if you say you're gonna do something, you just need to do it, right? All right. Thanks so much, Barry. Also, Athena, wishing you a blessed Christmas. Thank you so much. Wishing you as well, you and your family, everybody you love. And thank you so much for the super chat. I mean, you just constantly as well showing love, Athena. And you did this before, and I really appreciate you so much for constantly being here for me and my family, and definitely supporting this channel, this YouTube channel, and getting Daniel's stuff out. So thanks so much for your wishes and your love. It means a lot to me. You guys, when you put that information up like that, saying, Mr. Roberts, keep going, or whatever positive comment that you have, excuse me, those things mean a lot to me. So thanks so much, Athena. God bless you. God bless you and your family. Also, excuse me. I have Valerie. I have a comment here I'm going to read real quick. Ms. Robinson, December 26th is the 14th anniversary of my teen Angel's death. Oh, my condolences. I'm sorry to hear that, Valerie. I'm sorry to hear that. She passed from leukemia. The longer she is gone, the more I miss her. And I can imagine, because it's really horrible. It gets hard every year, especially on anniversary times. I can't begin to imagine the pain of not knowing where your child is. I pray you receive answer soon. Excuse me. Yes, and it is very difficult, to keep living it over and over and over again. I understand, Valerie. And like I say, my condolences to you and your family, and for your strength, on the 26th of this month. So I'll definitely want to make sure I say a prayer for you as well. But thank you so much. I really appreciate you for sharing that with us. But yes, it's difficult. Yeah, it's difficult. The not knowing is difficult as well. So yes, thanks so much for sharing that with us. And like I say, my prayers out to you and your family. Esther, thanks for your question. Do you feel like Arizona police are not listening? Surely they can see the mess Buckeye have made through Dane's case. It's so unfair. Yeah, I mean, it's almost kind of remind me of the bureaucracy that goes on with the VA, for instance. You got people that say they care, and they got all these programs that really designed to help veterans, but then veterans literally, right, come out the military. You have to go through hell to get ratings, for instance. I've seen some veterans have to put on an acting thing just to get help, right? But you got all these things designed to help veterans, but then at the same time, you got the bureaucracy that would be, you got to go through this, then it take. For instance, let me call today and say, oh man, I've been having, God forbid, pain in my shoulder. I'm just something simple. Pain in my shoulder. I really need to get this looked at. It came from military related, whatever. I'm not. I need to get this looked at, and I want to set an appointment to VA. I'd be lucky if I get this appointment set up for the shoulder pain. That this is December. I'd be lucky that I get that appointment set up for June, July next year, right? For the shoulder pain. So I'm saying is, definitely with Arizona, they see with law enforcement, DPS, Department of Public Safety, especially Maricopa County, Daniel's resident, they see what's going on. Like I say, I have officers from all over this country. I even had some from other countries apologizing for what Buckeye is doing, right? From a law enforcement standpoint. I have my team member, board member, who's as law enforcement, apologizing for that's not what policing is, right? And they see it. You're right. They see it. But it's still, like I tell you guys, from my point of view, it's the blue thing they got going on. And they would make all the excuses in the world. I'm telling you, they'll make all the excuses in the world just not to hurt another blue. Even the blue wrong about something, they'll double down on it. They see what's going on. FBI see what's going on. All of them see what's going on with this department. Yeah, they can see the mess. And I think they are listening. They're just not acting on it. Question PM channel. Thanks so much for the question. Thank you very much for sharing the information about things to look out for when loved ones is missing. Splitting your time between your home and Arizona. How are you doing mentally? It's rough, always rough. But thanks so much for asking that question. But yeah, it's always rough. Going back and forth, you're right. It's rough. Splitting that time up. If you know, I when I had to leave Arizona to tend to, I have a daughter. I told you I have a 15-year-old daughter as well. She near her dad, right? So of course I had to spend time. So split all of that. There's a lot of things that goes in details to searching for Daniel. And the disappointment with law enforcement or the happiest parts of that law enforcement. I really want to give law enforcement praise. That's why I told Tim Polar they didn't want me to reveal who they were, but I'm saying it in a way. And it's because, you want to give law enforcement some type of credit, right? Now I was trying to figure out why they didn't want the credit, but they you got to give them some credit. So I kind of look at some of the positives there, some of the advancement that did happen from my push. I'm not going to let off the pedal. I'm not going to just say I'm satisfied with whatever I got and then just don't keep pressing the pedal. So I'm going to point out the things that I'm dissatisfied with. But yeah, going back and forth to answer your question, splitting time between home and Arizona, it's difficult. It's difficult because when I leave Arizona, a lot of times I feel like I'm losing progress or something. Or it might be that one moment when I just took my foot off, to go take care of things home. Um, you know, um, that would have been the date that got me to a point to find Daniel or something, right? So it's hard. It's very hard. And then you come here, of course, you come in here to come to South Carolina to deal with not bringing Daniel home. I had a lady ran into me in the grocery store, and I thought it was very unique. It happened to me twice, but it made me feel positive in certain areas. You think sometimes I hear more people didn't hear about Daniel's story. So to have somebody to run up to you, hey, are you Mr. Robinson? Yeah, I've been praying for you and this, that, blah, blah, blah. So, and that made me feel good. It feel good. I mean, that Daniel's story is getting out. I know it's back in South Carolina. I was in Arizona. It happened to me as well. This young guy. I thought he was a homeless guy. He came running up and, hey, Mr. Robert, you're strong, and I wish I had a dad like you. And this guy, and they just ran off. So the thing is, I'm saying it kind of mixed feelings. Sometimes I feel like I'm not doing enough. Most times I feel like I'm not doing enough. But it's mixed feelings, back and forth all the time, like a seesaw. So yeah, it's hard to go back and forth a lot of time mentally, and adjust to things. But anyway, thanks so much for your question, PM channel. I really appreciate it for caring enough to even ask the question. I have let me see. Let's see if I have any more questions here. I think I'm it. I think that's it, you guys. Thank you so much for coming to Q&A this morning. And I do want to say, if you guys can come this evening, Q&A, please, by all means, do that. I would love to see you out there here on the Q&A so I can do the prayer and fasting. And also, I will be going over some of the same content this morning that I did this morning. But I also want to add some other new things as well to talk about on Q&A this evening. I want to get to more of your questions. So if you guys have any questions, I'm going to definitely get more to that, more of your questions. So thanks so much again. I love y'all. Thank you, God, for being part of this Q&A this morning and constantly showing your support. I really need you guys. If you guys can, like I said, come out to this the search that I got, the public search, as well as protest. I'm really looking forward to that help. More information I'll be talking about that off and on. More information will be coming up on pleasehelpfinddaniel.com on here, Q&A, as well on the social media platforms. So we'll be talking about the upcoming event and the more details and things as time get closer. Like I said, it'll be February 25th. I want to make sure I get the date right. Let me look at this again to make sure I got the date right. But yeah, February 25th, and you guys, so if you can, by all means, please come out to the public search. Please bring your family, your friends. I'll start posting the safety things that you may need. I know it's gonna be cooler
February still, which is good. It's gonna be warming up in February, but it's still gonna be on the cooler side, hopefully, right? Because it get hot in Arizona quick. But the thing is, I want to make sure that you hydrated. Make sure you have all the things you may need. Preferably, you guys have some form of boots or something, for that terrain. It'd be better. But I'll have all the kind of information out that will help you. But yes, I want to have a big turnout and to get as much people as I can on the ground to get this thing covered in one day. Like I said, I made an arrangement with the guys who own these properties to they narrowed me down to one search that I'm not fully committed to, but they narrowed me down to one search, and I hope I can do that and get in and get out. All right, so more people, the merrier. More people that's out there, it would help me be able to do that. So, all right, thank you again. You guys have a good evening. I love you all, and I'll see you this evening on this evening Q&A. Please come back. Thank you. God bless.